It's time for another episode of Lunch Money with Mike and Joaquin, where we talk about money, love, and life.
Dang, dude, you're getting really good at that, and we're
Oh,
barely
yeah.
on the third episode, so I can't wait for like the seventh or eighth.
Yes. In this episode, we are actually going to talk about money and relationships. This is a huge topic, Joaquin.
Yeah, I'm very excited to get into that. But before we do me a huge favor, hit that like, subscribe, comment down below. I would really appreciate you guys taking the time. Yeah, down there, up there, wherever it is, just smash that like button and the subscribe button because we're having lots of fun.
We are. It's so much fun that I can't contain myself. I actually wore a diaper for this episode because I'm going to have so much fun.
Yeah, so make sure you guys stay tuned and let us know your feedback in the comments down below. We really do appreciate it.
Cool. So, how was your day today? Just real quick.
Pretty good. Like we were talking on the phone before we kind of got on here. I like keeping Mondays a little open just so I can decompress from the weekend. Usually it's when I get lazy, so I can't really turn it on like that. So it's pretty much like a half day for me, but towards the end of it, I had to like make sure things were going smoothly and they weren't. So
Oh,
I
yeah?
had a yeah,
Abort,
had a,
abort.
yeah, it was like, oh, I have to do a lot of work now, and that's kind of why I'm a little late for this. But you guys don't know that. I mean, now you guys know that, but
Now you spilled the beans.
yikes.
You pulled back the veil of Joaquin land, and now we all see behind all the skeletons. Yeah. Yeah. So my day was very busy, and it's actually a nice break to do this today. In fact, last night I have an embarrassing story I want to talk about last night. So every night I do my little walk around my neighborhood. My neighborhood is just a square, so I just do my laps. I'll usually listen to a podcast or YouTube or whatever. So I had my wallet in my back pocket, and it was very heavy. Okay, this is it right here.
Nice.
So I had my wallet in my back pocket, and I also had my hat on. And so it was annoying me. So when I got to my house, I put my wallet and my hat in the mailbox, and I thought, on my way back and my way in, I'll grab it and go in the house.
You're right. And let me guess. You didn't.
No, I forgot totally about it.
Yeah.
And today when I got home after a long day, I went and checked the mail, and guess what was in the mailbox?
Mail and your hat and wallet.
Yes, my mail woman, man, whatever. I don't know what they are, but they didn't steal it.
Yeah, it's mail person. Come on, dude. It's 2020. Please get with the program.
That's right. My mail being. So I was so excited.
Yeah, no, that's very good news. I'm happy you didn't lose your hat. I mean, who cares about your wallet, right? But I'm happy you have your hat.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's all my money. Take it. It's in the mail for you, packaged up nice and neat. So that's my embarrassing story. I had to tell it. My wife doesn't even know about that, but
Oof. I'm think she's gonna listen and be very happy.
yes. But that's a great intro for what we're going to be talking about today, because relationships and money is always a big struggle, whether you're a couple or whether you're already married or you're about to get married. It's huge. It's a huge issue.
Right. Yeah, I think it's very important to, especially if you're not married yet, if you're kind of dating or in a serious relationship, to talk about that much sooner. That way, before, things start going off more seriously, you'll have that foundation built before you need to, spark some arguments. Because arguments are going to happen. It's just the nature of relationships. So if you have those foundations built early on, then it's going to be much easier for you later on.
Cool. Before we get into our topic today, though, we want to do something a little different. And different. Like, this is our third podcast. It's not like we're
Right.
doing anything new. I mean, it's all new right now. We want to do 2 quick stock picks for the week or for the day. Did you get some, or is it just me
No,
today?
it's just you today, man.
Just all me,
just
baby.
all you, dude.
That's
Get used
right.
to it. This is all you from now moving forward.
Okay. So apparently I did my homework. Yeah, no. So what we're going to do is I got a couple of stocks that I personally have in my portfolio, and I wanted to share them. They're travel industry stocks. Now, we all know that the stock market went in March during COVID, and it's been making a great recovery, but there's still some sectors that are still, I think, depressed and are down and still have a lot of room to grow. So if you feel like you missed out on the big stock bonanza or extravaganza of March and April and May, fear not, because there's still some meat on the bone, as we like to say.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And I think those sectors are the, retail side and transportation, and I think you gave me a little insight on what the stocks are that you're going to talk about right now,
Yeah,
and
real
they have to do
quick.
with that.
Yeah, I won't go into them huge. This is just like, hey, put this on your radar, put it on your watch list. Do your own due diligence. We're not financial advisors. This is all just entertainment, yada, yada, yada. But the first one is Hawaiian Holdings. So the airline industry is one that gets talked about a lot. The cruise line industry, the airline industry, everybody knows that everybody wants to get back out there, vacation, get back at traveling. And so the airline industry to me is a sector that is going to come back. It's going to take a while. These are long picks, Joaquin. These are like
Yes.
hold them for a few years and then, watch them double, watch them triple. But I don't like the traditional American Airlines, Delta Airlines, Southwest Airlines. Everybody's buying those. I always like to be different. I was always the kid in school that wore my pants backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So Hawaiian Airlines, which is ticker symbol HA, I believe they have a lot of room to grow. Hawaii is very down right now. They let a lot of people go, but this is one to hold. And if you can just kind of hang in there, I think you'll see some great success in it. The other one is one that I've held for a while is Azul. It's ticker symbol AZUL. Azul is the big Brazilian airline company. They're huge. And as you know, Brazilian COVID numbers are down right now. And so people are starting to fly. The airline industry in whole is coming back. And so these are two great stocks that I like to hold. And you should really take a look at them. Again, do your own due diligence, but you haven't missed out yet. And I think there's some room here in the next couple of years.
Sweet. So you quizzed me a few episodes back, so I'm going to quiz you. Um, do you think these companies are going to be the ones that are going to get some bailout money from the government, or are these a little bit maybe more riskier plays than like your Delta, your American, and things like that?
I think that, well, I know Brazilian wouldn't be qualified for any
Right.
PPP, but they did get some Brazilian money from the
Right.
Brazilian government.
Yeah.
So the Brazilian government, they're like the Gold Star airline in Brazil. So they're
Sweet.
not going to let them
Which is a
fail.
big market, right? It's a
It
big
is huge.
upcoming. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that's a very good way to diversify
Hmm.
outside of the states. Yeah, I think that I like that one a lot.
And Hawaiian Airlines, if you're going, they do the most trips to Hawaii out of the West Coast. So they're the big boys going out
Right.
of Hawaii. I don't know exactly if they took any PPP or any stimulus, but I'm sure they did.
Right.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah, yeah. And also something very important, guys, if you hear a stock that we talk about or something, don't just go off and buy it. Make sure to do your own due diligence, because
Hmm.
maybe if the stock we purchased it at a much lower price and then you get in at the top, it's just you never know with stocks. So just make sure do your own research. Don't just buy something because you hear us talk about it. And certain we'll kind of try to address it if there's certain stocks or certain investments that we do that are a little bit more riskier. That way you can know the tolerance from the start. And so, what do you think at a risk scale these airlines that you're holding are?
Hawaii, if you're going long on them,
Mm-hmm.
then I think you're going to be seeing at least doubling your money on these things. And I
Right.
know that's kind of crazy, but these things are so depressed,
Mm-hmm.
especially Hawaiian Airlines.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
now that I think about it, I did read that they did take some PPE money. They're actually in a very good cash position.
Good, good.
But I think Azul, man, I mean, I honestly, I think they're trading at like $13, $14 right now. I got into them around 7, but I believe they were trading around $45
Right.
and on an awesome uptrend before COVID happened.
Yeah.
And so for the last few years, so I think they're going to come back strong. I don't think they're going anywhere. There's some room. I like to say there's some meat on the bone.
Yeah, that sounds like you got in at 7 and they were trading before COVID at what you said?
45.
Yeah, that's pretty. And they were on an uptrend too. That's pretty
Yes.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were strong like bull. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so just check them out. Check them
Yeah,
out.
yeah. I'll have them probably popped up here and popped up there, so you guys can go ahead and look at them. Yeah, cool. I like that segment. I wasn't prepared. I will. We could take turns. How about that? Next time.
You got the
Yeah,
next one,
I
buddy.
got the next one. I got the next one for sure, for sure.
Yes. Okay, cool. So let's talk about love and money. It's the two biggest things since the beginning of time.
Yes, paying for love.
Paying for
Yes
love.
or no?
No. No, that's a bad plan.
Well,
yeah.
thanks. See, this is paying off already. I'm sure someone out there
Wow.
was paying for love. Now you know not to, guys.
Stop. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Let's just kind of get into it because I know it's a big subject. Now, what's really cool about this particular episode is I am married. I've been married for almost over 20 years. And Joaquin is considered a couple. So he's not married, but yet he is probably going to get married one day, hopefully.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so it doesn't matter what part of your relationship you're in, money is always going to be an issue. And you actually, Joaquin, have an opportunity to deal with some things before you get married, unlike me, you
Right.
know. And so I think one of the issues, and we can start off with this, is debt,
Mm-hmm.
because couples bring debt into relationships. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think it's very important to talk about that early on. Luckily, in my position, my girlfriend's debt free. I'm basically debt free. So it's just whatever my balance is on for my credit cards at the end of the month, right? So we're I know we're definitely in a good spot if we would just get married tomorrow, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're starting not on negative, which I know a lot of couples, especially if they get married earlier, right out of college, they're negative 30,000 in debt each, and if they go get a master's or whatever, they're in the whole 100 grand, which isn't too uncommon to start a marriage like that.
Yeah.
Which if you want to get married, go for it, but I think it does put some sort of strain on the relationship.
So I'm gonna make a statement real quick, and you tell me what comes to your head. What's mine is ours.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes
that is.
comes into mind.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, there's a lot of couples that I know of, and that are watching this or maybe listening to this. Is when we get married, what's mine is mine, what's yours is yours.
Yeah, I think that has something to do with just the time the tides are changing or whatever, like the new culture, I guess it is.
Yeah.
Maybe the divorce rate is super high, as we know, and it's just, I don't know, but I think it's just like a bad way to start something. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, I just don't.
Yeah.
I personally don't get it. My girlfriend tells me all the time, "What's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine," but
Mm-hmm.
she's joking, or
Yeah.
I hope so. Knock on wood. So yeah, I think that's not necessarily a good way to kind of start a marriage or start a relationship. I mean, for sure, marriage, right? Let's just talk about marriage at this point.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're married and you each have your own, a lot of married couples have their own checking accounts. Like, let's say, which we don't do this, but let's say I had my own checking account and I had a job and my money stayed in my checking account and you had a job and your money stayed in your checking account. And then what's even a level up is that we have your bills, my bills, and we pay our own bills. That
Yeah.
is a dynamic that seems to be what a lot of couples are doing, but is it the best way to do it?
I think I am in no position to say what's right or what's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like my opinion would be to go ahead and put everything in one place and then take everything out of the same place instead of having my bills, my bills. Or, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I just think it would be easier if, okay, we make $8,000 a month and we need $6,000 a month for bills and expenses. You know what I mean? I think it's just easier than having to just worry about what you have. And then what if you're short 1 month? I just think it's a little
Do
bit
you, do
messier.
you, do you think it's an issue of trust? Like, I don't trust you enough to put my money with your money, so that because you're going to spend more
I,
than
I,
me,
I
or you're going to.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's more of, if, and this is like me playing that the other side. I'm trying to think why
Yeah.
someone would do it. It would be probably because, like, I'm independent. It's more of an independent thing. Not that, like, I don't trust you, because clearly you're spending, a life with someone. So I don't think it's about trust. I think it's more about that person trying to feel independent, maybe. But again,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, because I personally don't agree with it.
Okay, so let's change gears here and let's talk about setting goals, because a lot of couples, when they get married or before they get married, they don't have any goals together. It's like, hey, we get married, we're in love, everything's wonderful, and then all of a sudden they start living their life, and they can either get like super into debt,
Hmm.
or they can just like have no goals whatsoever, and then 5-10 years into their marriage, they're like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I think that's very tricky, just because, again, it just all goes back to culture. What do you do before you get married? You have a giant wedding, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how much is like the
Yeah,
average wedding now? So it's like,
like
again,
five
you're
million
not
dollars.
starting. If you have the money, and good, great. But I know a lot of people that go into debt for the wedding, and then the honeymoon, and then, like, okay, now, But to me, I don't really have that mindset, I guess, where
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me.
That's a great point. And I'm a man, so I'm looking
Really?
at this from a different.
Hold on.
Yeah. Let me check.
Videos recording?
Yes. But the whole culture, like you talk about culture, but the whole culture of weddings is crazy. I mean, we went from like my wedding. When my wife and I got married, I think our wedding cost like $10,000, and she borrowed a dress. We didn't even go. We could have gone and spent $5,000, $6,000 on a dress, but she borrowed a dress. She looked beautiful. Had a rental tux. We had, we rented a very cheap place, and we had a great wedding. We had a lot of friends and family. A lot of them are listening to this podcast right now, and I really appreciate you listening. And so they came to the wedding, and we had a great time. And you know what? We're still married, and we're still here. But the weddings nowadays, what are people spending on weddings? Like 50, 60 grand?
Plus, yeah, it's pretty crazy. I think it goes back to what we talked about last episode about the status kind of showing off, kind of like that event. And again, I get it. I personally don't have that in me, but I've heard a lot of friends that really do want that extravagant wedding, and I get it. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
So I do understand, and it's just everything keeps evolving, everything keeps climbing up. So that's kind of how the world works, So eventually, it's gonna be even more expensive.
Yeah. I mean, my daughter's, she's got lots of friends, and they're all getting married. And I see some of them are choosing like a simple wedding, and they can take the money that they're not spending on that wedding and put a down payment on a house. I mean, if you're spending 50 grand on a wedding, and you say, no, we're just going to spend 20 or even 10 and take the rest and go put it on a house or something, and then you start your life in such a different way than if you're starting off in debt and having to prove to everybody, hey, this is the way we are, this is where we're living,
Yeah,
I don't know.
think I know. I excuse me. I think we're doing a comeback or a resurgence of having the less expensive weddings, just because it doesn't make sense. Now with COVID, I mean, talk about getting married. You want to get married right now, bro? It's like
Yeah, the
$5.99.
Zoom wedding.
Yeah, it's So I think, and this COVID isn't gonna go away anytime soon, unfortunately. So I think if there's gonna be weddings, it's gonna be smaller and more modest, which I think is what I want. Something with just close friends and family, something nice. But you're so right. I hear that all the time. Instead of spending 50 grand, spend 15 and put the rest in a house, and it just makes perfect sense.
Yeah, how less stressful would it be? You're starting your life off,
Yeah,
It's just it's a
way better.
choice.
Yeah,
It's a choice.
and
really.
again, we're not judging you, or we're not saying that you're wrong if you spend 100 grand on the wedding. I mean, good
No,
for you.
no,
I'm sure it's gonna be beautiful, or like a remote wedding in Hawaii. Trying to get people to fly back to Hawaii, bro. Trying to get that stock of yours to go up.
Oh yeah. Fly Hawaiian, baby.
Yeah, fly Hawaii. No,
So-
but yeah.
So let's talk about like in a relationship. So in your relationship, are you the spender or are you the saver?
I'm the spender throughout
Really?
most of it. Yeah, I love.
I would have guessed you were the saver.
No, I'm not. So most of our relationship, like I've always been working. My girlfriend was been going to school. She got her master's, so I would always pay. But now finally, like she has a job, she has a career, she's making good money. So now I enjoy like, I forgot my wallet at home, or I don't have to worry about things like that. But we're, I'm the spender. Yeah, definitely.
Really? That's cool. See, in my relationship, oh, I hope my wife doesn't watch this. I am probably you know what? In the beginning of our marriage, I was probably the saver, and she was more of the spender, which my wife is not a spender on herself. She spends on like our kids, but she won't spend money on herself. We're like old school.
Right.
And I have the same shirt for like 20 years. I don't ever go out and like spend money on myself. But these last few years, I have become a little more like loose, and like if I want something, I'll go get it.
Right.
But which I guess we'll talk about. You can't talk about spenders and savers without talking about budgets.
Yes.
And I know you're probably a big budget guy, are you not?
I can be. Yeah.
You can be, yeah.
Yeah. No, for me, in my case, like I haven't combined my finances with my girlfriend yet. Well, because we're not like married yet or engaged, but we have had that conversation where, again, like to me, it doesn't matter if all my income goes to bills and expenses, and we can save all her money, or vice versa. It doesn't really matter to us. But if you're single or if you're dating, make sure you like think about these things before you get into like a serious relationship or get married, because you do want to be with someone that is gonna like be compatible with you and your goals, right? Or like if I'm the spender, my girlfriend's very, very frugal. So it kind of works, and we can swap, and I understand when she wants something and I hold back. So that relationship really works. So if I mean, I can't imagine having a serious relationship with like two spenders. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
two
yeah.
heavy spenders. Like it must be very very fun. I can't question that, but it might not be best in the long run for your finances. So it
Yes.
works out great that my girlfriend's very frugal.
Well, that's cool. And that goes back to setting goals, like you just said. You got to set
Yeah.
those goals. So I guess a big part of a relationship surviving and making it through with the issue of money is communication. Talking about money, which in our last episode we had a really good conversation about talking about money with our parents. Our parents did your parents talk with you about money and so forth and so on? If you didn't see that or hear that, go check that out. It's really good banter we had. But in this episode, it's more about your relationship with your spouse, your your significant other, talking money. Sometimes we don't want to because it brings about arguments. It's a
Yeah.
negative thing instead of a positive thing.
Yeah.
And I think, and like, I'm going to take myself. Um, First of all, whenever you can come at your wife with money, or you can say, "Hey, let's talk about this," and let's like. But I guess as husbands, sometimes we come at because I am the person that does the budget in the house. I'm the guy that pays the bills. I'm the one that sees the credit card bill. I'm the one that, and so for me, sometimes my reaction is to come at you and say, "Why do we spend this?" or "What is this for?" Da, 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 da. And there's probably a better approach than that.
Yeah,
Like going for
it's
the
like
jugular.
you said reaction, right? And you want to be proactive when it comes to your finances or anything in life, right? You want to get in front of the problem before it presents itself. So instead of reacting a certain way, which sometimes, I mean, hopefully, I hope everyone listening can control their reactions, but sometimes you just can't. So if you're proactive, then there's more odds of you controlling your reaction, knowing that, okay, if this happens, then this is the plan. So it just goes back to like we were talking about, goals are very important.
Communicating like before you're married is so key. If you're not married yet and you need to communicate because you need to have these talks before. Like there's times when my wife, I'm like, "Oh, let's go buy this and let's do it." Yeah, she's like, No, no, calm down, calm down." Sometimes she talks me off the wall, and our roles have kind of changed in the last few years. She's become more of the solid, grounded person. Like, no, you don't need a $200,000 red Ferrari. Your truck is fine. Just stuff like that. And
Right.
so it's really a personality thing, and it's really something that we communicate. And you have to talk it through, but you have to know the personality of the other person when you're going into the relationship.
Yeah, no, I think that's very important. Like you said, there's going to be ebbs and flows. The relationship is a living thing, as lame as that sounds, you know? There's going to be times where you're the saver and then you're the spender, or you're the one that has to say no. And then there's times where she's the one that's going to have to say no. It's just like a relationship. Whatever
Hmm.
it is, just adapt, but just know like, have those conversations. And they may be awkward at first. I'm not telling you if you're on your first date, be like, okay, what's your credit score? You
Yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? Like,
What's
kind
your
of
FICO?
yeah, work yourself into it, but think about it, especially if you're really getting serious.
Yeah. So another big thing that I think in a relationship is I'm going to use the word power struggle. If I make more money than you,
Right.
is there a dynamic there that's like, oh, I make more decisions, or I have more pull because I make more money than you, which can be very tricky, and it's a real thing.
Yeah, I think especially if it's like the female that's the breadwinner,
Mm-hmm.
I think that our male egos are just too weak, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anything wrong if you're dating a doctor and you're working a modest job, as long as you guys are both happy and contributing to the relationship. Again, it just, if it all goes to the same place and you
Yeah.
guys have the same goals, it doesn't really matter who's making what.
Check the ego. That's
Yes.
huge. Checking the ego. Yeah, because that situation, you're almost like using leverage against another person. It's
Yeah.
like, oh
Which is
well,
toxic, right?
it is. And if one person spends more than the other, I mean, there's another dynamic there.
Yeah.
You're always spending, and it's just like it can put a strain on the relationship. So I have a cool little statistic here. It's kids cost an average of $233,610 to raise to the age of 18, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Wow! And I have four of them. Oh my gosh!
I'd rather have one of these guys right here.
I want a little dog. Yeah,
Yeah, a
I'd
dog.
rather have the sheep head. If you watched the last episode and you didn't know what the sheep was, that's the
All right.
sheep right
Yeah.
there. Yeah. We went through the whole episode and I thought we were videoing. And then I'm like, that was a great one. And he's like, oh, yeah, next time we'll video. And I'm like, oh, wow, I did my hair for nothing. But yeah, kids bring a whole other dynamic because kids are expensive.
Yeah,
They
so
are.
it's very important to talk. Like, I don't want to get into politics here, but it's very important to have those conversations with who you're dating and who you plan to marry. If you don't really agree with certain things, conservative, liberal, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But as long as you have similar morals, similar
Mm-hmm.
values, I think that's very important because, again, like if you are in the both extremes, it's going to be hard to kind of come together and raise a little human being, right?
Yes. Yeah,
So
exactly.
it goes back to like the communication, having those awkward conversations. Again, don't be on your second date and be like, "Did you vote for Trump?" No, like just go ahead and work into it, but just have that in the back of the mind when you're out dating or when you're out, seeing if someone's gonna be the one, because it's important. The way you raise kids, the way you talk about money around your kids, the way you live life. It's very important.
Yeah. So big things. So communication. You got to understand your personalities, your spender saver. You gotta have the balance of power. You got to figure out. And then I really just to go back to the checking accounts. Like, okay, this is how we do it in my family. And my wife and I have been married over 20 years. We have a checking account. Okay, my wife is a stay-at-home mom. She's been for many, many years. And I've always been very proactive about trying to not make her feel like she doesn't, our money is our money. And so I probably even went a step further and I set her up her own checking account, or she set her up her own checking account, but we did that. And we budget a certain amount of money every month and it goes directly into her checking account, no questions asked. And what her checking account is for, it's all the groceries, it's all the day-to-day stuff, gas, fuel. I figure I've already pre-budgeted this. This amount goes in here, and you don't. The goal is don't ever ask me for a dime. It's
Right.
you are in control of our budget, a part of it. And my wife is not the type of person who wants to do a budget. They're just like, bleh. She doesn't want
Yeah.
to sit down and do a budget with me. Oh my
Right.
God, she'd rather like gouge her eyeballs out. But I am the guy that's like, oh, let's do the budget. Oh, it's so much
Right.
fun. But, and so that really alleviated that. Your dog likes that, huh?
Hey.
Look at that. Simmer down, doggy. So, and then there's the other issue of she money. I call it she money. It's the money that she don't know about. And you start hiding money whenever there's a conflict of interest in a budget, I feel, right? So the way we alleviated that is I put into our budget a certain amount of money that is given to my wife. And it's an equal amount. Let's say it's $300 or $400 or $500. This is your money for the month, and this is my money for the month, and you can spend that no questions asked. And I can go if I want to go buy 500 pounds of gumballs, and you want to go buy a stiletto knife, you can do it, and there's no questions asked. Or if you want to save it for a rainy day, do whatever. There's this no questions asked. It's outside the budget. You can do whatever you want. And that, you know what? That has alleviated a lot of arguments in our family.
Right, having that flexibility, almost the number amount is irrelevant. Just having that fact that you can have that flexibility where I don't have to talk to you about anything, and this is like my money to do whatever I see fit with. I think that really does help the dynamic of the relationship. But just a quick question: did you do that whole process, or did she kind of push that on you, or was it just you kind of instinctively kind of making that change, or how was that?
It was instinctive. I was like, man, how can, I hate that my wife would ever have to feel like she would
Right,
ever have to ask me for money. Like if she
right,
calls me up and say, hey, I got to go get this. Can I get the credit card or can I get the debit card or anything? I hate that. I want her she is a part of this house. We are a team.
right.
We're doing this together. She is my partner. And so I give her that. And now my checking account is not mine. It is ours.
Right.
And so she actually has two checking accounts. I have one.
Okay.
And
So
so
your checking account is the joint one. That's it.
that's it. That's all I
Right.
have. Yeah.
And she has her personal checking account, which is the one where you budget in what the expenses are for the month.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And then, and then I do some stuff where I figure out cash because she's
Right.
always asking, hey, do you have some cash? Here's some cash. I just go ahead and do it all for her, And I just try to make it easier for her because I know she's busy with the kids and she's busy
Right.
being mom and she's doing
Yeah.
things and stuff like that. And I know I try to take that burden off of her. And then you know what? There's no arguments anymore. We really
Yeah.
don't. The only arguments is when I open up the credit card statement. Sometimes I'm like, "What is this?" You
Right.
know.
Right. Yeah. I want to meet
But
that Mike. That one's opening a big bill, credit card bill, Mike.
yeah, angry Mike.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
no.
I think that's very, very important, and I'm sure your wife is very happy that that kind of change happened. It sounds like it's working, right?
It's working. It's working really good. But my wife still, she still forgets her debit card conveniently and makes me pay for lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always like, why do I give you money if you don't ever have a debit card? She's like, oh,
Right.
sorry.
Uh-huh.
And then she looks at me and I'm like, oh, you got me again.
She's good. She's good.
Yeah. So, well, cool. Well, man, that was some good stuff there about love and marriage. And if you have any questions or comments, we would love to hear your comments. Please post them down below.
Yes, you'll have a link down there with the email, or just follow us on YouTube or on Instagram. We'll have all that down below now. So just follow us there and ask us a question. We're pretty accessible.
I would love to know what you do in your relationship.
Yeah, that'd be
Because
very interesting.
yeah,
And maybe this is just me thinking out loud. We can do an episode where we just bring people on and be like, okay, so what do you do? And then we can just talk about them and how they do things for a little bit. So if you're listening and if you're interested in that, send us an email and we can, ask you about certain things for a few minutes, and then that'd be awesome.
and you know what? If you send us an email, I'd love to answer your question. Send us a question. That would
Yeah.
be great. Yeah.
Yeah, cool, cool.
We would like to say thank you to all our new subscribers. A lot of them are family and friends, and we appreciate all the positive feedback we've gotten in the last few days. We thank you so much for listening. I know a lot of my family has reached out to me and friends and said, "Hey guys, keep it going. Y'all are doing great." I don't think Joaquin has any friends.
No, or family.
Or
just kidding.
So, yeah, we're hoping to get him.
Yeah,
some of
we've
that
done
pretty
the
soon.
same, and it's been very, very awesome. Great feedback. I really do appreciate everyone listening, watching. Please leave the comments. Let us know how we can improve. We're very open to the feedback, and I'm very excited to keep it going. We did 32 minutes already, man.
Yeah. So
Cool.
money, it's a big subject, and don't lose your relationship over it.
Yeah, it's not worth it. Not worth
No.
it. Sweet.
Well, cool.
Cool.
Well, I had a great time. I appreciate seeing you again.
Yeah, likewise. I can't wait to do the other one, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.